Hi guys, welcome back to Sports with Mono and Mono. Early edition this week. Eli's covering the St. Mary's game, but I'm Jim, and will be joining us. Elijah Weintraub will be joining us in a moment, and it's January 20th. A little bit frigid. A lot of people have been dealing with some really brutal weather across the U.S. and but this is winter time, right? If you don't want to deal with snow, you got to move down south. I guess that's the only solution. So anyway, great to have you back. Thanks for joining us. If you're up early, thank you. If not, watch the show and you can always send us an email at sportswithmonoandmono@gmail.com. So, like I said, we always start our show with a monologue, and our monologue is always sponsored by Coriano Trucking of Summerhill, New York, who, like I keep saying, has been with us since day one. And like I said, we're going to be having another sponsor joining us in a couple of weeks, and looking forward to that as our fan base grows. Like I said, Eli's doing a great job with the production. So let's jump right into the monologue. And listen, we all know that this is a big sports weekend, right? It's the NFL and so forth. So when you look at the teams that are in there, you know, as a fan, when you look at the Detroit Lions, who haven't won a championship since 1957. I mean, that's just, as a fan, you're going, oh my God, that's 64 years ago. So imagine how that fan base is starving for this. And listen, this is the best chance they've had since Barry Sanders was on the team. And all that kind of stuff. So the Texans, yeah, but they're kind of a new team. They didn't start play until I think 2002, but they haven't tasted victory either. So, all three of these teams have a viable chance. And, for the fan bases, I hope you get your wish because Eli Seahawks and my Giants, they're out of it again. But we've had an opportunity to taste that championship champagne before. But some people, these are fans that weren't even alive since their last team. So, you know, I'm for them. I'm hoping things work out in the playoffs, and Eli and I are going to jump right into it because there's a lot of stuff to talk about in the NFL as we are now on divisional playoff weekend. Hey, you are, Eli. How you doing?
Yeah, I'm doing very good. It's an exciting time. A lot of has happened last week. A lot to break down. The NFC East, the most hottest division they claimed heading into the playoffs, all eliminated. That's a shocker too, as they're the number one team, the
Yep.
number two seed. They had the number five seed. They were the predicted to be the hottest team, other than Philadelphia. San Francisco. And that quickly changed. And we'll get dive into that in just a little bit. And
Yep.
great set of games happening this week. So let's get to it.
Yep. Okay. Listen, we're going to get into the games in just a little bit, but let's talk about what's also big in the NFL right now, and it's this coaching carousel, right?
Yes.
Let's just go through the list. Right now, teams without head coaches: the Carolina Panthers, the LA Chargers, the Atlanta Falcons, the Washington Commanders, the Tennessee Titans, and your Seattle Seahawks.
Yeah. Yeah. A lot has happened. All right. So Jim is frozen. All right. So bring me back to this again. Uh, so Jim, you're frozen again. Uh, according to YouTube, you are frozen. I will. In the meantime. All right. So Jim's frozen. Not much you can do there. I will have him log in and come back in. In the meantime, I guess I'll uh, update you the best I can. So we let me go ahead and update you, I guess, with all the latest information. So as Jim mentioned before, he had some technical issues. A lot of coaching changes happen. Major teams without names with quarterbacks and coaches. Atlanta Falcons interview for the second time. Bill Belichick is their head coach. This becomes the second time in history that this is not second time in history, second time this happened in this week. So the possibilities are more than likely Bill Belichick will head to Atlanta based off of how everything has been going. Jim, welcome back. Yeah, you're frozen on YouTube, so good to see you back and ready to go.
Oh,
I was
okay.
saying about
I,
Atlanta
I don't know
Falcons.
where I don't know where. Yeah, go
Yeah,
ahead.
thing about Atlanta Falcons, how they've interviewed for the second time already Bill Belichick. So this is more than likely becoming a possibility for Atlanta to pick up Bill Belichick, which would be a huge hiring catch. Now, they don't have like the greatest team in regards to a quarterback situation. However, they do have a decent offensive line. They do have with crucial players like Bijan Robinson. Defense could do good at times. So, I mean, that would be a fantastic pick for Bill Belichick. A lot of people are saying Commanders, the Chargers, or what about Carolina? Nobody wants to go to Carolina. Commanders, that's still a risky team. You know, how much can you trust Sam Howell? Who's the quarterback? What is the decision there? LA Chargers, you could go to them, but LA's just LA. You know, that's a wishy-washy team with a tough division to play in the rough conference of the AFC. So that's you have to think about that.
Well, I'm
Atlanta has
glad you brought. I'm glad, I'm
yeah,
glad you brought that up because when we're talking about Bill Belichick, right? And yeah, it does seem like Atlanta kind of is the front runner. You know, if Harbaugh leaves Michigan, it looks like he may be going to the Chargers. But I think Bill Belichick does need to go to a team that has a quarterback rather than because after Tom Brady left, he hasn't had that success, hasn't found the right quarterback. It hasn't been Mac Jones, whatever. And Atlanta doesn't have a situation. So I think Bill Belichick's reputation is at stake here that, he needs a quarterback. And, Desmond Ritter's obviously not going to be the answer in Atlanta. So that has to come into play. And you just brought up
absolutely.
before Sam Howell in Washington. Sam Howell's not an NFL quarterback that's going to take you to a championship program. And listen, your other guy out there, same kind of deal. Does Pete
Yeah.
Carroll want to coach again? Those are questions, right?
Those are questions. And I think in regards to Seattle, their biggest target before the postseason began was Dan Quinn of the Dallas Cowboys. After their major loss last week to the Green Bay Packers, that kind of changes the attitude. Do you really want Dan Quinn now? Because if you look what his defense did, wasn't exactly the greatest. And that's one of the biggest things that Seattle needs to improve. And that is the defense. The defense was, you have great players on the defense, but it never formats right. You can never have in Seattle the offense work good and the defense work good at the same time. In the beginning of the season, the defense was great, offense was okay. Now the rest of the season was offense good, defense and that's the issue. Dan Quinn, based off of last week's performance, doesn't seem like the best option. Based off of who's left and who's now out of the potential picture, Mike Vrabel is now a fantastic option for Tennessee, and Jim Harbaugh. Yeah, I believe Chargers is the best option to go. They were saying Raiders at one point, but Antonio Pierce has got the job and a much deserved job for the Las Vegas side. Antonio Pierce deserved it, especially after the Kansas City victory the other day on Christmas Day versus the Chiefs in Kansas City. That was a huge win. So that is, I think,
Yep.
important notes to look at.
I'm not so sure. Again, yeah. Let's think about that. And one of the other big no's is a non-coaching opening, and that's Mike McCarthy in Dallas, right? I think a lot of people thought that was a foregone conclusion that Jerry Jones was going to fire Mike McCarthy and try to bring somebody like Bill Belichick in, right? They have a quarterback, so the scenario would work well for both of them. But you know what? After I thought about it, listen, Mike McCarthy over the past couple of years has got 36 victories. So he's actually done.
Oh yeah, that was a comment on X from
Yeah,
Martin
what was the
McKissick.
comment?
Get Ben Johnson or Vrabel to Seattle.
All right, Marty. Yeah, Ben Johnson's a hot name in the coaching circles. It sounds pretty good that he's going to land a job somewhere.
Yes,
Um, but the whole Mike McCarthy situation, Dak Prescott had a great year. The Cowboys had a great year altogether, and I don't think you could blame them for one game. This is on the players here. They just weren't together. They were out of sync. And a lot of people love to blame the coaches and say they weren't prepared. He had them prepared all year. So I think that was at least a little
absolutely.
justification that he could keep his job. But I thought for sure, Jerry Jones is an impatient man. He's not a young man either. And the
No,
Cowboys haven't done anything since
exactly.
1997. So this is a big deal. Keeping Mike McCarthy. If we're fast forward 12 months and they don't win, obviously that'll be the last straw for Jerry Jones. But he may have missed an opportunity if Mike McCarthy can't get them that Super Bowl they haven't had since over 25 years ago.
Yeah, well, I also think too it could have a lot to do with the quarterback too, since keep in mind Dallas has Dak Prescott's been with the Dallas Cowboys since 2016, according to what ESPN's reporting. So 2016. And if you look at the playoff history, they haven't got past either the wild card or the divisional round. The last time that they won the conference championship and the division was back in 1995. That was the last time they did it. So, you could I
Yep.
definitely you could say a lot of people are saying the coaches are an issue. I honestly think it's the quarterback, Dak Prescott, considering that since 2016 and 2023, you have significant opportunities in the playoffs, and then come playoff time, this is a new Dak Prescott that continues to fail every single time in the playoffs. He will do a fantastic run in the regular season, but come postseason
And he's
time,
got he's
it's
got
a different argument.
and he's got one of the best wide receivers in the game. So they have
Absolutely.
the tools. The Cowboys
He
do
has the
have the
tools.
tools.
The thing is, I honestly think, the coaches aren't, you can't blame the coaches. I honestly think it's time for Dak to go. That's what I think. Considering that
Yeah, a
since
lot of people
20,
feel that way.
I see that way. I know a lot of people disagree with me, but because if you look at the playoff history and since 2016 is when Dallas started, they were always continuing to lose. They never had a winning season since 1995 after the postseason. That's not that great to hear. And considering that this is the scenarios we're in, goes to show that maybe it is the quarterback situation, not so much the coaching. Because remember, they did keep the last coach for
Mhm.
quite a while. So I do think it, and
Well,
also
but
Jerry
you could
Jones has a lot
also you
to
could also
make an
yeah,
argument.
you could also take the other position and say, okay, Aaron Rodgers was the quarterback of Green Bay for 14 years, whatever it was, and he only won one, and they lost a lot of big games. So
Absolutely.
again,
He's another example of that. And now look at the run Green Bay's having. Not saying that they have a great chance tonight versus San Francisco, but anything's possible. And to get that run,
sure,
which remember last year, Aaron Rodgers couldn't really succeed at. And that's huge to hear.
yep. And the irony here is that the last time the Packers did win a championship, Mike McCarthy was the head coach.
Who's
So
that coach?
he's got some sort of coaching capability. So Jerry Jones believes in him, and going down that list again, I don't know. Well, like we said, we just got a comment from Marty Matesic from this morning about Ben Johnson and Mike Vrabel. I think Mike Vrabel is a coach, but you're right. Nobody wants to go to Carolina because that owner is a complete jackass, and nobody wants to work for him. And that's
Exactly.
so they're gonna
And
they're gonna
the
have
thing
to
is,
settle for one of the lesser guys.
and another thing too is you got to keep in mind for the Carolina side of things. You hear all about the Atlanta Falcons, the Chargers. You don't really hear too much about the Carolina Panthers, so we don't really know like big names heading down there. So you think that's why like they're keeping quiet. I mean, yeah, you hear stuff, but not
Well,
as
I think
significant as
what's
Atlanta.
yeah,
Yeah, go ahead.
I think what's going to happen down there, Eli, is because nobody wants to go to there. You're not going to get a big name coach. You're not going to get a guy who's been successful like a Bill Belichick or somebody to go to Carolina. It's going to be a young offensive or defensive coordinator that's looking for his option to break into the head
To
coaching
try.
ranks and make a name for himself. But he's got a big task ahead of him with that jackass David Tepper down in Carolina.
All right.
Who are you looking
And then
for?
you,
Who is Seattle? What's the inside buzz on
well,
Seattle
like I
coaching
said in the
search?
beginning, they were originally they had all their mindset of Dan Quinn from Dallas, the defensive coordinator. But after their loss, I think Seattle might be changing their tune around. They've honestly, we don't know the answer. ESPN's predicting that it could be Vrabel. I think that is a significant choice because he is like a mini Pete Carroll, but for the younger ages, as they claim. So that could help Seattle out a lot. He does have he almost brought Tennessee to a chance at the playoffs this year. I mean, not significant, but there was still opportunity. So he could be a good coach for Seattle. I think that's who I would want, considering after what we saw from Dan Quinn last week. But the options are available. I think that Vrabel would be the best option at the moment for Seattle.
Yeah, I could see that as a good fit. Actually, I could see that as a good fit.
Yeah.
All right,
And
so listen,
hi
as
Bobby.
we
He's
talked
watching
about,
us.
as the coaching carousel
And hello to Bobby, who's watching us in Dallas, Texas, while he's doing the Dream Bowl. Yes, 8 a.m. because the girls of St. Mary's have a game today at 10 o'clock. So yeah, I'm off there right after I finish here. So yeah, how's
Oh, I
her
know our
Dallas is cold, Bobby?
producer. Yeah, I know
It's
he
nice and
couldn't do
cold
an
in
eight
Dallas.
o'clock show. I know that.
I
Anyway,
know.
thanks for
He's
watching.
up, surprising
Thanks for joining me.
for Dallas. Welcome.
So if it's 8 o'clock here, it's got to be 6 o'clock in Dallas. So what's he doing up at 6 o'clock? That's the question, right?
All right, we need answers from you, Bobby.
All right. So let's get into it. Let's talk about our pick. So last week, Eli, you took it. You topped me with a 5-1 record, and I was 4-2.
Yeah,
I think your only loss was the aforementioned Dallas Cowboys.
yeah.
Right? But
Disappointment, man.
yeah, I gotta say, so far, like biggest surprise is this Philadelphia Eagles collapse. That was really monumental. Starting the season 10-1, and they just got embarrassed in their playoff game.
Oh,
Embarrassed.
yes, they did. Embarrassed. I almost had the score right for the Philadelphia side. I
Yeah,
had 25-10 as the final, so close enough for the 9 points at least for the Philadelphia side,
yeah, that
anyways.
was pretty good.
Yeah. So I heard I'm making the picks first today. Am I right?
Hey, been one record on is not sure because last week, and now we go back to this week. We got 4 games as divisional games kick off, and let's go in order. And Elijah, I'm going to let you do your picks first.
All right. Well, let's start off with the AFC matchup. The game starting today. We have the number 4 Texans taking on the number 1 Ravens from snowy Baltimore. That is at 4:30 p.m. over on ABC and ESPN. Remember, ABC and ESPN now get a divisional round game per their new contract. Baltimore's favored by 9.5, but America's going to go out of Baltimore. Elijah's going to go with the Houston Texans to beat the Baltimore Ravens 28-21. The Ravens have not had won a division in the last 5 years, according to their history. You look at the Texans side of things. Yes, the last time they made the playoffs was 2019. They did not win, but this is a whole new Texans with a whole new coach and a whole new quarterback. America's going to go with the Ravens, but the few guys are going to go with the Houston Texans to bleed them. So give me CJ Stroud and the Texans 28-21 over the Ravens. The next game, NFC matchup, 7 Packers take on the number 1 49ers, 8 p.m. on Fox tonight. San Francisco is in favored by 10. So for my lock of the week, give me the 49ers 35-21. Detroit's in favor by 6 for tomorrow's game. The Buccaneers take on the Lions, 3 p.m. on NBC. Give me the Lions 31-24. I think this Lions team has it. The Buccaneers are not supposed to really be in this situation right now. Lions should have it down pat, considering that they're home in a very wild, packed indoor stadium of Detroit at Ford Field. Finally, the game of the week, I think, the Chiefs and the Bills, 6:30 p.m. on CBS. Buffalo in favored by 2.5. Give me Buffalo to win 26-23. I think Buffalo's the team to beat. Kansas City, Patrick Mahomes on the road, different situation there. But I think that Buffalo has it down pat. They're going to take the victory in a fantastic fashion, 26-23. So I'm taking Texans, 49ers, Lions, and Bills. Jim?
Okay, well, listen, so we did have a little change here. I wanted Eli to go to first, so there was no even consideration. He was riding my coattails, so I'm glad you got your picks out of the way, and
Yeah, out of the way.
I'm gonna go down my list, and it's gonna sound awfully familiar to our audience. All right, so listen, I agree with you. I agree with you on game one, Houston versus Baltimore. I'm not a big buyer of Lamar Jackson. I don't trust him. I guess more than that. And you mentioned it might be snowy. I mean, the field will be fine, obviously, unless it starts snowing during the game, but it will be cold. And I don't want to appear to be riding on this CJ Stroud coattails, but I really was impressed with his calmness and his maturity as of late.
Exactly.
So I'm actually going to take the Houston Texans in an upset. And you brought it up. I mean, they're underdogs, and rightfully so. Baltimore's been playing well, and Lamar Jackson could conceivably be the MVP. But I like what D'Amico Ryans has done, and I'm going with Houston in game one. Now, I think one of the most interesting games is Green Bay and San Francisco, and we all concede that when we watch San Francisco, a couple of little bumps in the road, but it's 17 game season, right? Nobody's going to go 17-0. So, um, but the way Green Bay and the momentum that they're having, um, it's still tough to go against Christian McCaffrey and Brock Purdy. So I'm going to stick with this one and go with San Francisco, even though I'm biased towards Green Bay, Wisconsin. But and I brought it up before. I really like Jordan Love. I think he's going to mature into a very, very good player. But I think it's just a little early for us to expect for them to go into San Francisco and beat really just an offensive and defensive team that really stands head and shoulders above everybody else right now. So I'm taking the Niners. Here's the game, and this goes back to our monologue, right? I mean, how could you not be rooting for Detroit? And can Jared Goff keep this up? And like I said, um, he's a very interesting person here. I mean, he had great success with the Rams, but then they dealt him to the Lions, and now he's leading that team. I think Dan Campbell's mission has been excuse me, working out great. Tampa Bay, just like you said, they barely got into the playoffs, but they looked dominant against Philadelphia. But that's more on Philadelphia looking like just a fake team. So I'm going to take the Detroit Lions. I really like what Campbell's done, and I really am pulling for Jared Goff to silence all the critics and kind of make Sean McVay look bad because he basically kicked him out of town, and that's a good thing. So I'm taking Detroit as well.
All right.
And the final game, you're right. It does seem to be one of the more intriguing games, right? And this is going to shock people because I've told you what my mantra is. You don't bet against Patrick Mahomes, but I think there's a lot of things in play here. I could regret this, but I'm going to take Buffalo because I do believe in their team. I believe in Josh Allen, and this is not a knock. And I'm not dismissing Patrick Mahomes. I think he's the best quarterback in the league. He's a winner. He's proven it. He's a competitor. But I think with you see Travis Kelsey dropping more passes than he ever did, and Pacheco is he a top flight back? No, he works well in the Andy Reid system for sure. But I just don't think he has enough around him to win on the road in Buffalo, which, by the way, is his first road playoff game. That tells you how much of a winner this kid, Patrick Mahomes, is. But I'm taking
Absolutely.
Buffalo on this one. And so listen,
We do
Eli
or
and
die
I, we're
together.
we're lockstep here.
We do or die together.
That's no, this is no Yep, it's not orchestrated or nothing. I mean, Eli
Nothing.
sees
We did
things a
not
lot like
know
I
who's
see them,
picking who until
and I'm
now.
going.
Yes. And we do
That's
have a few
right.
comments I'll
So,
bring up.
we're
We have comments coming in real
Eric
quick
Pembroke. Good
from
morning,
Eric.
Eric.
Good morning to all. And finally from Guy Coriano, early bird special. Absolutely. Welcome to the early
You
bird
got it.
special.
We want to give people more time to get things done before the big game
Right.
starts. So that's why we're
Right,
doing early
exactly.
bird
More time.
special.
Give them
Right?
their what they need to do out of the way first. I'm gonna bring up some quick notes before we move on off the NFL real quick. Ohio State
Yep.
hires former Patriots offensive coordinator Bill O'Brien as their new OC. The NFL Combine will remain in Indianapolis for one more year with an extension for the 2025 season. Dalvin Cook will play versus the Texans this Saturday versus the Ravens. Rhea McIntyre will perform the national anthem at the Super Bowl. Post Malone will do America the Beautiful. And Andrea Day will do Lift Every Voice and Sing, all for the Super Bowl. This is the NFL
Whoever that
viewership.
is, I never heard of him.
Who? Post Malone? Or Reba? Who'd you say you didn't know?
All right. Well, I've heard
Who'd you say you didn't know? I was curious.
of Reba, that's for sure. But
You knew Reba. I was gonna say. I was like, Post Malone is like one of those rapper guys. He's the new guys. Yeah. Post Malone, I get
yeah,
if you not
but
many people.
Reba McIntyre's had a good thing. But
Yeah.
honestly, those little things when I talk about the Super Bowl, the halftime show, that's when you do all your other stuff you've been sitting on the couch not doing all day. You do that during the Super Bowl halftime show.
And here is the Super Bowl. Here's the Super Wild Card Weekend ratings for the viewership. In first place, the Cowboys Packers, 40 million views for Fox. Second place was Rams Lions with 36 over on NBC. Third place went to Steelers Bills on CBS, that Monday game. The fourth place game went to Browns Texans on NBC with 29. Fifth place, Eagles Bucks, 28.6 on ESPN. And the worst of all, anybody can guess? It was the Peacock game with only
Eagles.
23 million views. 23 million views was the Peacock game. Bills Chiefs. People canceled their subscription, they claim. And they even made a whole big deal about it. Worst thing in the world. 23 million views, lowest wild card viewings. So that is pretty bad. And
And
a few other notes.
you know what that tells me? That tells me people are fed up with having to be paying to watch NFL games. I
Correct.
couldn't be happy for our fan base.
All right. Final quick notes to bring up. CBS will be airing 7 hours filled with commercials for the Super Bowl before it leads up, starting off with Nickelodeon Slime Time, followed by Road to the Super Bowl and NFL Today before it all kicks off. The Saints are moving on for offensive coordinator Pete Carmichael. Jason Kelsey is retiring from the Philadelphia Eagles. And that
Carmichael.
is, that is the my random points for the NFL news. And let's move along.
Okay. All right. So, like I said, everybody buckle up. This is one of the best days because there's 4 games to be played over 2 days, and from an NFL perspective, this is what you want. Looks like there's some good teams there, and so Eli, we'll see how our picks work out.
Yeah.
But good job on your picks last week, 5-1.
Thank
Nice
you.
job.
We'll see how it goes next week. We both do or die together.
All right. So listen, believe it or not, there are other. Yeah, there are other sports going on, right? Not a lot happening, right? Because we're only, nearing the midpoint of the NBA season. And now we're starting to see some movement with some trades. Anunoby goes to the Knicks, and that's been a good thing for them because they've been like 5-1 or 6-1 since that trade. But they're still not going to beat the Bucks. They're still not going to beat the Celtics, and they're still not going to beat the Heat. So, unfortunately for them, they're in the Eastern Conference, so that doesn't bode well
That
for
does
them.
not. Nope.
And the aforementioned Boston Celtics were 20-0 until last night, and they lost last
Yeah.
night in Boston for their first home loss of the season. Pretty good record
Cute.
though so far, 20-1.
Absolutely.
And right before we even we're going to talk about that, but you did mention Dejan Miller, the assistant coach for the Golden State Warriors, succumbed to a heart attack after a team dinner last week. So
Horrible.
rightfully so, obviously, because that's
Multiple games
sports
suspended and
are
canceled.
yeah, right. So they take a back seat to tragedies like this. But he was a young man, 46 or something to that
Yeah.
effect. But yeah. Um, but stay put because there's going to be some more trades in the NBA. We did see was it who's the guy that just got traded to the Pacers? Pasquale Siakam, right? So
Sure.
and
Yeah.
listen, you and I think we touched about on it. Like, see, Indiana is kind of a good team. This Halliburton is coming into his own, and we're starting to see a lot of young players like this. One of the best players in the league is in Oklahoma City. Nobody knows him because nobody ever sees him. But this Shea Gilgis Alexander is really becoming an up and coming player. So there is a lot of good young talent in the
Yeah.
NBA. And like I said, I don't even think we've hit the halfway mark. But this takes a back seat at least for the next 3 weeks until the Super Bowl is concluded. So,
Yeah. We can calm down for a little bit.
any NBA news from you?
um. No. Yeah. Actually, I have no NBA news. No, actually, oh yes, the Intuit Dome will be the
Good.
new stadium name for
And
the Clippers. They will host the 2026 All-Star Game, and they showed images of the new stadium, and the seats look steeper than Barclays Center in Brooklyn, New York. So let me tell you, those seats are steep in Barclay. They look even steeper according to the images for the new Intuit Dome, home to the LA Clippers, coming for the 2026 All-Star Game. So yeah, I didn't even know they were building a new stadium.
oh, I know exactly what picture you're talking about. I actually saw that. If you want to sit upstairs in the upper deck, you can barely see the players.
No, and
That's
the
not a good
jumbotron
place
is
for
huge.
an NBA fan to watch a game.
No, I don't think I'm gonna like this new stadium the way it's looking so
Well, it would
far.
have to be. Well, that
Yeah,
gives new meaning to the phrase "nosebleed seats" right there. Right?
correct. And I thought
You got it.
Barclays Center seats were pretty bad. I think that might have to top it. I think.
Yeah. Okay. And listen, just one other thing because it is a Grand Slam event, and the Australian Open is currently going on. Um, for our tennis fans there, we have no Rafael Nadal, which that kind of bums me out. But we're seeing a change in tennis. We saw Federer go, and we saw Nadal pretty much at the end of his career. But Novak Djokovic, he just keeps marching on. So I don't see any reason why he won't win another Grand Slam. And on the women's side, we've talked about this before. There's a lot of competition on the women's side, and the number one seed Iga Swiatek got knocked out already. So that's good for the up and comers on the women's side, like Coco Gauff and so
Right.
forth. So a lot of people don't get a chance to watch the Australian Open because it's on in the middle of the night, but it's still
Right.
tennis. It's still a Grand Slam, and Novak Djokovic is still playing in it, which makes it relevant to me. Anyway,
Yes,
so
absolutely.
let's move
Let's get a
on,
random point.
Eli, to our random points of interest, which of course, yeah, it's sponsored by Lynch Toyota of Manchester, Connecticut, and I got a couple of things. Just a couple of notes. The Knicks owner, James Dolan, has now been accused of sexual assault, and you can see why. He's tied to that predator, Jeffrey Epstein. And again, these are all allegations, but this is something that I would think the Knicks fans see as an opportunity for a guy that just doesn't appear to want to do anything with his franchise. Um, so I don't, it's a horrible topic to even talk about, but he's found himself being named in this kind of thing, and if it's true, then he's going to have to sell the Knicks. We'll find out. To be determined.
Yeah.
Um, Here's a couple other things, Eli. So the Mets have decided they're going to retire number 16, Dwight Gooden, and number 18, Daryl Strawberry's jersey. Excuse me. Which, by the way, so when I've been thinking about this, and I remember when Dwight Gooden was a rookie, he was incredible. and he could have been one of the greatest of all time. That's how talented he was. But unfortunately, him and Strawberry got mixed up with drugs and kind of almost threw their careers down the drain. Um, but as far as the Mets go, they were part of the '86 championship team, which that was just the ball between Bill Buckner's legs. So if that ball doesn't go through Bill Buckner's legs, the Mets don't win a championship. We're not even talking about this because you know
Right.
you don't have a lot to go on. So, but I kind of dispute this. I think their Mets are getting a little retire number happy, and actually outside of Gooden's rookie year, he had some other shining moments, but that's what the Mets do. The Mets are the Mets, and I don't think that neither one of them it should have their number retired. I would love to hear people's comments on that because I know we have
Yeah.
Mets fans in the New York area. So send us an email at
Yes.
sports
Or
with
comment right
mono
now.
and mono at
Uh,
gmail.com. Yeah.
you could comment on Facebook, YouTube, or Twitter or /X, wherever you're watching right now. I'll bring up
Yep.
some
Give
random
us a
points real
yay or
quick.
a nay.
I'll give us some random points real
Oh,
quick. Okay, go ahead. You can go first. I'll
I
go
got
after
a
you.
couple other ones. Let me just
Yep.
go through. So we saw in sticking with baseball that sometimes you could take the man out of baseball, but you can't take the baseball out of the man, and that's Dusty Baker, who signs on to be a special assistant slash consultant for the San Francisco Giants, who he managed for many years. But the guy just couldn't stay away. He retired after a World Series championship, and now he's back
Right.
in with the San Francisco Giants. And I did see something. Here's an old name, Eli. You may not remember, but Jerry Glanville was a coach of the Falcons and the Houston Oilers. I didn't even
Okay.
know he was still alive. He's 82 years old,
Wow.
but he was named the defensive coordinator at, let me get it right, Northwestern State. So not
Hmm.
exactly the NFL, of course, but he's
But it's
still
better.
coaching at 82. Like I said,
Good for him.
it's hard for people to step away from these sports yep. And one other thing, big note from the world of college basketball: Tara Vanderveer, head coach of Stanford, ties Mike Krzyzewski for the most wins all time Division One college basketball. Well, that tells you how long she's been around. She's been coaching for
Yeah.
50 plus years at Stanford, but that's a record that she tied Mike Krzyzewski. She'll break it sometime next week. And one last thing was you and I and Steve and I, we've talked about it and verbatim with this whole nil situation. So we had a situation down at the University of Florida, which was incredible. We get around this nil stuff. These universities are forming collectives where millionaire alumni put money as fund to recruit star players at a high school. And there was Jaden Rashada, who was at the University of Florida. We had a deal that was going to pay him $13 million to go play football at the University of Florida. And that got all blown up somehow. So he ends up
Yeah.
transferring to Arizona State. But we're going to see more and more of this. The corruption of nil and the money that these kids are making. There has to be some sort of regulation behind it. But this is a sample of nil gone wrong. Anyway, go
Absolutely.
ahead, Eli.
Here's
You
my
got some
quick.
random points.
Yes. So there was supposed to be a pop-up cricket game that's happening in New York City. So apparently, it looks like it's going to be happening. Apparently, they'll be making a pop-up cricket stadium that's 34,000 seats, similar to what the Las Vegas Grand Prix had in regard to their grandstand. It will host the T20 World Cup that is happening in 3 months in New York City. So they're just going to do a pop-up stadium instead of creating a whole new stadium. It'll be like what they did similar in the Grand Prix in Las Vegas, according to the reports. Oakland A's, of course, they're building a new stadium in Las Vegas, but in the meantime, they're looking for a potential stadium for 2025 to 2027. Potential options are Salt Lake City or Sacramento, and the new stadium is expected to open in 2028 in Vegas. Indiana drew 1 million views on Saturday for women's basketball. It is the third largest TV audience to watch a women's basketball game. So congratulations to them. Two other quick notes. The FIFA World Cup. Now the options have been narrowed down. Nothing's been confirmed. They were all just rumors. This is the full venue choice for the final, and the schedule will be released on February 4th. And the final two sites that are temporarily narrowed down to is AT&T Stadium, home to the Dallas Cowboys in Dallas, Texas, or MetLife
Mhm.
Stadium in East Rutherford, New Jersey. So it is going to come down to those two, but more than likely they're going to gear towards Dallas, according to the rumors. But you never know; it could end up in Jersey. So we'll have to just wait and see till February 4th. But though that's what we heard as of right now. Finally, AJR will perform at the Stadium Series on February 18th for the Sunday edition. Rangers vs. Islanders at the first intermission report. And the Devils are 23-17-3. They won yesterday 4-1 versus the Blue Jackets. Jack Hughes still out, and they will play versus the Dallas Stars home tonight at 7 p.m. Jim?
Okay. Hey, listen, we just approached the halfway part in the NHL, so we may have to get our buddy Art O'Cal back on the show and
Yes,
fill us
absolutely.
in on the comings and goings in the National Hockey League, right?
Yes, and also one thing I forgot to
Yeah,
mention:
good
the
stuff. Good stuff.
North Jersey top Bergen County rankings has Bergen Catholic at number 2 and Don Bosco at number 1, St. Mary's at number 9. So those are your top two at the moment, according to NorthJersey.com rankings for Bergen County.
Where are my guys, St. Joe's? They're not in the top 10?
Uh, they are at number 5. They're at number 5.
Okay, so
Ramapo is at 3.
these are the
Ramsey at 4.
powerhouses. Yeah.
Yeah, powerhouse
Not
schools.
just football, they're powerhouses in basketball too. Yeah.
Yeah,
All right, Eli. So let's lighten the mood a little bit. So got a lot of feedback from our audience on our comedy movie picks, and we're going to stick on here. So my recommendation for this week is Stripes with Bill Murray from
okay.
back in the early '80s. It's a very very funny movie. I guess you haven't seen it, but always a great movie to watch. One of those times classics, you would say. Um, so my recommendation is Stripes, and again,
I guess
we had Caddyshack, we had all of the sports theme movie. This is not a sports theme movie, but it is a comedy.
a good comedy movie that I could think of that makes everybody
I
laugh
don't know if
would be
Eli, you want to throw in a movie that you
yeah,
would recommend
Despicable
to
Me
our.
or the Minions, whatever you call the name of it. You get everybody laughing when you see the Minions and everything like that, and so that would be my recommendation. You get everybody laughing
Okay,
there. So Despicable Me, Minions. There you go.
okay, we got it. All right, so Eli, I sent you a picture.
Yes,
Let's post our picture of the week, and it's very certainly very meaningful for me. That's me, and that's Steve. Our audience is obviously certainly familiar with him, but Steve had a birthday this past week, and I was able
well,
to
happy birthday to him.
spend some time with him and celebrate his birthday. And like I said, he still listens to the show and he appreciates all of the support that people have given him. He looks great. He's coming back, and hopefully, we'll have him on the show at some point uh, when
Yeah,
he's
it'll be
up to it.
huge.
But that was a great moment for me. Great picture. Thanks for
Yes,
posting it. Appreciate it. Yep. So we always close with our notable passing segment, and from what? One that's really close to my heart, and it's kind of funny because last week we posted a clip of the Honeymooners with Joyce
honeymooners.
Randolph, who
Yeah,
played Trixie on the Honeymooners, who was 99 years old, was the last of the four stars of that show, passed away this week. Like I said, she wasn't a focal point of the show, but she played a pivotal role in the dynamics and what made that show some 70 some odd years later still a show worth watching. Um,
yeah.
so Joyce Randolph, 99,
Wow,
Trixie as she was known.
Very good.
And I have one from the world of sports too. And this is, people from New York. Was a quarterback. He was number 2 pick in the NFL draft in 1961 by the Washington Redskins. Was subsequently traded to the Philadelphia Eagles for Sonny Jurgensen, Hall of Fame quarterback, by the way. And so Norm Snead was, he had some very good years early in his career. Was subsequently traded to the Vikings, and then he was traded to the New York Giants. Played for the Giants for a few years. Didn't have much success. These were the lean years, as we would say, for the New York Giants. But Norm Snead, 84, and like I said, number 2 draft pick at a Wake Forest. Had a great 16-year career in the NFL. So he was
Absolutely.
84 years old. And Eli, do you have a notable passing? I think you mentioned. We mentioned
Yes,
Dejan Milojevic. Like I
we
said, from the
had a Ronald
Warriors.
Powell. He played with the Saints, a minor player, but 1991 to 2024, he was a former player with the Saints.
Yep.
And that is all I
Relatively
got.
young guy too. Right?
Yes.
Yeah. I
Yes,
think he
very
was
young.
relatively young as well.
He was born
Yep.
1991, so that would be 20, 30. I think in his
Yeah.
40s. 30, 38 maybe?
35.
Something like that. Yeah, we'll go with that, yeah.
35. Yep. All right. All right, Eli.
Alright.
So we're all set for a divisional playoff weekend.
Yes,
And
we are.
like I said, great job. I apologize to our loyal listeners, and again, thanks to Marty for the comment that he sent in this morning, and of course our
All of them
sponsors
who
and our
commented.
loyal listeners. Yeah, everybody. So again, enjoy the games, folks, because we're 3 weeks from tomorrow for the Super Bowl. Seems hard to believe,
And
right?
then we got to cry that
We
there's
were
no
just
football.
saying. Yeah, it was, and then we got to watch the NBA or the NHL. Yes,
NHL at least was worth watching. NBA, I don't know about.
Yeah, and listen, it's probably what? Let's see, we're in January, so probably like 6 weeks till pitchers and catchers reports. The baseball's right down the road. Oh, and there
Yeah.
is one other thing. I did get some feedback from one of our loyal listeners. Remember, Eli sent us an email and agreed
Yes.
with me 100%. I wouldn't have paid Marcus Stroman 13 million, much less 31 million for 2 years for a 500 record. So Jim Walsh, thank you for that, because I thought it was just me. I go, what am I missing here? This guy
Yeah.
is worth $30 million. It's an absolute outrage. And
Absolutely.
but anyway, so Eli, enjoy the games this
You
week. I
too.
know you're covering St. Mary's Girl broadcasting this morning. So good
Yes.
luck to your team, and
Thank you.
enjoy the game. And like I said, we're going to sink or swim together here, because
Absolutely.
we both have the same 4 picks, right?
Yes. Have a good
So
one, everyone.
folks, again, like I said, thank you. Yep, thanks for joining us. Send us an email. Love the comments. The show is growing, and apologize if we had any technical glitches today, which we will work out. And
Yes.
enjoy the weekend and stay warm. So,
All right. Have a good
Eli,
one.
good
Bye
luck
bye.
today.